It has finally arrived on Irish shores. This is the new BMW 5 Series, and actually more specifically, this is the BMW i5. Now the 5 Series starts at about 70,000 euros and the i5 at about 91. And in this review, we're really going to be honing in on the i5, what it's like to drive, the range, the battery, and all of the tech that is now fitted to the new 5 Series. This is the Done Deal YouTube channel. Now let's get into it. Now at this point, I do want to say this is the M60 xDrive, and it's a whole different kettle of fish, and it costs, well, it starts at about 120 grand. This one's 135,000 euros, and we will be talking about this later on in the review, but for now, I want to keep it very broad and based around the i5 in general. It is a very, very pretty car. And on the note of styling, let's start at the front. I love the way it's a filled-in grille for the i5, but I adore this light around it. And actually a few people have complimented me on it, saying it looks gorgeous, and I love the way it lights up. In here you've got a camera, and this is also where all your smart systems are, your adaptive cruise control, your emergency braking. It's all read through that system, and that goes a little bit further, which we'll talk about later. There is some aero through there into the wheels. Then here, LED headlights look gorgeous. Now this is the M60, so you get these big 21-inch alloy wheels. And continuing on to that, there's some carbon M style wing mirrors there. Now, it's a straight line and it's somewhat basic along the side, but I quite like it. The door handles are cool. I like that it's not some touch system. And then here you've got the 5 symbol for obvious reasons. Now, this is a good time as ever to talk about charging. So in here, fast charging, it's really quick, 205 kilowatts. That means you can go from 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes. And that range, in the 40 version, it will go about 570 kilometers. This because it's a dual motor and also 593 brake horsepower. It doesn't quite go as far, but on the note of 593 brake horsepower, I don't know if this is a coincidence or BMW being very clever, but it says it in the reg. Now again, because this is the M60 xDrive, it has a carbon rear spoiler. I do like the rear lights, but let's take a look at the rear. So in here, like any 5 Series, it's pretty spacious. If I sit in, lovely place to put my feet underneath, loads of knee room, and actually good enough headroom. And there's a panoramic sunroof in here, which actually only really rear passengers get to benefit from, and it's nearly 2,000 euro to option. So maybe you don't need that, but it is quite nice for rear passengers. On top of that, you've got touchscreen climate control back here, heated seats in the rear, that is lovely. You've got armrest here with some cup holders, and actually the ISOFIX points are really, really easy to get at, which is a great thing for any parents who are thinking about buying this car. And as a whole, a lovely place to be, and actually in the boot, it's quite spacious too. There's 490 litres of space, and it's a nice shape, big and square, easy to fit things in, and the seats fold as well. Now the most important part of any car, the interior and the cabin, and I have to say it is a 10 out of 10. It is brilliant. Everything you touch feels really expensive, properly good materials. The steering wheel is lovely. This one's heated, which on a cold day like today is just amazing. On top of that, the seating position, it's all very adjustable. So I like it quite low, but if you want it higher and you're a little bit smaller, then it's perfect for that too. And actually there's different kind of memories on it, so you can save you and your wife or you and your husband's settings, which is lovely. Don't love this carbon here, if I'm being completely honest. However, the lighting around it, the ambient lighting, is brilliant. And even when you just do things like change mode or put the hazards on, it all makes a big sing-and song about it, which I quite like. Now the screens, it's that curved system that we've seen in a lot of modern BMWs, and it is brilliant. It is complicated, I will say, and realistically most of the time you're going to have it in Apple CarPlay mode. There is tons and tons and tons of different apps. One thing I will show is that there is a camera. So if you go interior camera, as long as you're parked, you can actually take a photo. The camera's up here and you just go and there you go, you've got your photo, which is just kind of cool. And then down here, this can also all be controlled through this crystal dial here, which is lovely. Volume knob, again, really handy. And even just the gear selector is this crystal switch here. Lovely place to sit, wireless charging down there, drink holders, small bit of storage in there, nothing too big. But overall, just a gorgeous cabin and a place that you could definitely spend 570 kilometers in. Now, to drive the i5 in general, the easiest and best word to describe it, it is lovely. It's absolutely a glorious place to be. On a long motorway journey, it's brilliant. If you get the Pilot Pro pack, all of the kind of autonomous driving features are brilliant. The lane assist is superb. In fact, if you need to change lane, all you need to do is put on the indicator and it will change out of lane for you, as long as there's nothing obviously there. It's brilliant. And down the line, if I'm not mistaken, when the government allows it, it will be able to drive from one point on the motorway to the next without you having to engage in any way, shape or form, which is amazing. Now, around town, it's lovely. It is big. There's no two ways about that. They just seem to be getting bigger and bigger. And this reminds me of something like a 2013 BMW 7 Series in terms of size. It's very wide, but you get used to it. The other thing that this car has is it has rear wheel steering. I'm not sure if every i5 has that. However, what I will say is go down to your local BMW dealership. They'll be able to advise you on that. If you'd like to know where that is, then you can hit the link up there. But as a whole, it's really livable with around town. This car's got heated and cooled seats. As I said earlier, heated steering wheel. The regular i5 eDrive 40, I think is the exact name. That one's got a 250 kilowatt electric motor. That's about 340 horsepower, which is a lot. That's more than a Golf 4, and you're getting that in your regular family 5 Series. Another cool feature on this is actually the camera setup. It's brilliant, 360-degree cameras. Again, that helps the parking, but as a whole, it drives very smoothly. It's easy to navigate around town. I maybe wish it was a marginal bit thinner. That would be nice, but as a whole, lovely. And one other thing I will point out is it will bing and bong at you on every single speed limit. And that is not a BMW thing, that's a new car regulation in Europe. Now, you can go through the infotainment system and turn it off, but you have to do it every time you start the car. But what you can do, like it's been done on this, is you can shortcut it here. So I just hold down the set button and it turns it off. And it just means that it's not so sensitive. Even if you're going 1 kilometer over the speed limit, it will bing and bong, which is very tricky. So that's just about it as far as the i5 is concerned. But at this point, I want to turn our attention to the M60 xDrive, because this is where things get exciting. Now, I will say I've been posting some videos on our TikTok over the last few days, and people have been complaining that the letter M doesn't belong on an EV. The petrol head in me is inclined to agree. In my opinion, an M car should have a V8 engine, a manual gearbox, and be rear-wheel drive. Now, with all that said and done, when you do come into this car and you put it in sport mode, it first tightens up your seatbelt, and then when you get ready to feel the boost, it is so quick. That was 0 to 60 kilometers per hour in 1 second. It is ferociously fast. And I do then want to get on to the elephant in the room, which is the weight, because it weighs about 2.3 tons and it's on some Continental Eco Contact tyres. And the grip, going through a hard corner left and then right, and it is glued to the road. Now, so far I've just been driving using the pedal. However, there is a paddle here labeled boost. And when you hold that down, you get 10 seconds of insane power. And I know you're missing the roaring V8, but it kind of has to be said, that sounds good. And if you are fussy about your noises, then you can put it into a different setting, let's say expressive. Have a listen to this. Sounds like a choir singing. Not so much of a fan of expression, if I'm being honest. I'll stick to sport. Truthfully, I'll probably stick to eco for most of my driving, but it is quite good. And what I will say is, yes, it's not as light and as nimble as something like an old M3, but at the same point, the previous generation of M5, that was a big old heavy barge that was very, very capable, and this is a big old heavy barge that is very, very capable. And I know it will upset some people, but the truth is, it's very good.
And if I still haven't convinced you, then don't worry, there will be a full fat, almost 800 brake horsepower M5 coming, and it should also be available as a touring.
Anyway, that is Done Deal's review of the new BMW 5 Series, or more specifically the i5. If you do have any questions, please feel free to comment below, or feel free to send us an Instagram DM, and we'll do our best to help you get into your next car. And for that, if you would like to search for new BMWs for sale from over 1,000 trusted dealerships in Ireland, then hit the link up there. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.